I'm Pigeon and I run the Pigeon's Nest. I'm a crochet designer, teacher and apparently crochet repairer. I actually repair crochet as part of my No Crochet Left Behind scheme. Customers send me their lovely heirloom blankets. I fix them for them and send them back to them. So I'm going to show you today how I fix a granny square within a granny square blanket. As always, this is not the way, this is a way. So don't come at me in the comments saying that's not the way to do it, because that's not how you did it in 1985, as always. So this blanket has had a lot of the red in here fail. So I'm going to set you up so you can see what I'm doing. Let's get going. Okay, as you can see, I have some red that has failed here. I could keep these sections in, but it's actually easier for me to remove the whole lot and start again. You are going to need a sharp darning needle, the colour that you want to replace with. I'm doing like for like, so I'm doing red. You need some scissors and you need a crochet hook. I'm using a 3 because I can tell from, you know, doing this for a decade that this is all done in a 4. My tension is looser than this crochet is, so I'm going to be using a 3 just to make up the difference and to make sure it kind of sits nicely. So first things first, I'm actually going to I'm going to leave the yarn inside the loops for now, just to hold them open for me while I work. So the red actually in this blanket has failed in so many places. The only repairs I'm currently doing on this blanket are for the red, so I don't feel bad about snipping all this red out, because it's, if I don't fix all of this, like this entire square, another piece of this red yarn is going to fail. So it's not just me being vicious here and snipping them off viciously. You can, of course, if you have just had a bit undo, you can, of course, just crochet it back. You don't need to snip out viciously like I've just done. I am also just going to cut it off the blue square. Yes, I could frog it. Do I want to? No. Do I want to try and find an end that has been felted in over time? No. So all I'm going to do is just very carefully make sure, sorry, I can't see that, very carefully make sure I'm only cutting the red and I'm not cutting any of the purple from this center one. Right. So a few points in this video I will pause myself to rotate the blanket because it's ginormous and I'm not crocheting upside down. Like, I know I'm talented, but I'm not that good. I don't really want to crochet upside down. So how full of myself am I? I know I'm talented. No, I know I'm good at crochet, but crocheting upside down is a whole nother level. So there we go. All that, see, that's pretty, that's sturdy, that's fine. So that doesn't need replacing. That, we just need to replace this round 2. All these round 3 looks pretty good, so does round 4. As you can see, I'm not lying to you, this red is failing all over this blanket. Actually the next square next to it as well. So what we want to make sure is that we've got the blanket, all the bits that we're going to put back together, the same way up, unless you alternate yours and it's your blanket and you've done that before. So we are just going to now thread on what you reckon is about a long enough piece to do the full round. You may have to join in if you misjudge, but that's not the end of the world, it's just another end. So we're going to start with a corner. I'm going to start here, and what I need to do, if we look at this one here, look, I need to do 3 trebles, feed it through, 3 trebles. So that's what we're going to do first. So we're going to do our 3 trebles. So 3 chains first. Oh, I'm going to give myself a bit longer to weave in at the end, just so I know it's really secure before I send it back to my customer. So we're going to do 2 chains after that one, so 3 chains total. Start you off, rotate it round, 2 more trebles in the same chain space. Right, now leave your hook in and you're going to use your needle to pick up all these trebles. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to pull, I'm actually going to pull this yarn out. It was just to hold the trebles open for me, and all I'm going to do now is just pop my needle back through both sets of the 3 trebles. As you can see, trebles have 2 loops because that's where you put your yarn over, so you should have 6 loops. Some of these might have not, and you can wind another loop in. This one here looks like it's struggling a little bit, so I might need to wind, and that one there. We'll have a look when we get there. So now we're not going to chain in this gap, because your chains, when you do your granny squares, are just to make space. We're actually going to put 3 bits of yarn through here total, so we actually don't need to chain for strength either. So don't come at me saying you need to chain in there. I mean, you, by all means, you try and chain and then pull it through. You crack on. It's just so much easier doing it this way. So what we need to make sure now is when we go through and get to here the next side, we need to make sure that these are all matching up the right, so the sides are all facing the same way. If you follow me on Instagram, or you'll know that I have very strong opinions about right side, wrong side. There is no right side, wrong side, just the side you prefer. So I'm just making sure I match up with what this previous crocheter has done. So now we've left a big loop. I've taken my hook out, as you can see, and now I'm just going to pop my hook alongside the yarn I've just threaded through so I can grab my loop. I'm going to twist this because I'm a righty and I need to pull it through right-handed. Otherwise it just doesn't work for me. So I'm going to pull that loop, my working loop, all the way through. Now, yes, it looks a bit baggy there, so if you pull your long end, it'll all slide through and even itself out. Now, I'm going to crochet 3 trebles back into this corner, because that's the first corner piece built out, and it's done, and it's reattached. Done. Right, the next thing we're going to do is this section here, because this would have been attached the other way through, because that would be your 3 trebles that would go over this chain space, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I'm just going to make sure I've got 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 3 trebles, 6 little loops. If you haven't got 6, you can pick them up. You can just do a little twizzle over your needle to pick them up. Right, there we go. That's all through. I'm going to leave myself a bit of a loop. Pop my hook back through next to the yarn I've just put through. There we go. I'm going to give it a little twist so I can actually crochet it. So that's going to, let's pull that loop a little bit smaller, shall we? And pick up that stitch and pull it all the way through there, look, so it's come through the loop. And then I'm going to crochet 3 trebles into this square here, because that's the next bit that we would have attached. So we're doing 3 trebles there, all the way through there. 2, 3, same again, leave a bit of a loop, but keep your hook in it, otherwise you will pull it off your hook and you will start to unravel it. I have done it several times. I'm not going to have enough yarn on here, so I'm going to need to join in again, but it gives me an opportunity to show you how I do it. Right, so I've still got red yarn in there. You can of course do it like this and pick them off, so you're making sure that those loops are staying open by just popping it through. Now, because this is a corner piece, we need to go through 2 lots. 1, 2. So that's there, perfect. Because that's the chain space in the corner. Pull that through first. So I'm just holding these stitches. I know it looks like I'm in the way, but actually I'm holding these stitches so this long piece doesn't knot. So it just makes like a proper little tunnel for it to go through without any friction. Careful, don't pull it all the way through like I just did then. Right, and then same again, hook goes through all the loops next to the yarn you've just thread through. Come on, you beast. Perfect. Right, that's going to go through. I'm just going to twist this again. And it looks very strange. You don't need to twist it. Well, you can actually twist the blanket around when you're not filming it, which is what I normally do. So that's all sat there. I'm now then going to do another 3 trebles into the same chain space because I'm building out that corner. 2, 3. There we go, look. Built that out. That red's really clushy on this screen, isn't it? Never mind. That's what I've got to use. Right, I'm going to reposition us, I think. Actually, no, I think I can probably shift you around. Right, so we're gonna, so what I wouldn't suggest, don't tie on if you know you're going to be too short. Don't tie on now because you won't be able to pull it through the loops. So leave it until you know the last minute that you need to join on. So here we are. Right, so now as you can see where it's laid out, this needs to go through here next. So I left some red yarn in there, pull that out, chuck that away, pop your needle through and pick up all those stitches. Beautiful. It's a nice clean one. Love it when that happens. Right, next we're going to do your working loop. Pull those through, grab a piece. What? Oh, I caught another bit of yarn down there. There we go, pull it all through your working loop. Give that little side one a little tug. Right, and then we're going to do the first treble of our corner space here. Now, if this third round, because of course we are making the second round right now, if the third round was too damaged, I would have just taken the third round, this pink round, out as well. I would have crocheted around on here separately and then I would have fed it on, just like we're doing now. So yeah, you can just take back and then make up separately and then just do one joining round like this on whatever size. Right, this is all I've got left. I'm going to have to do a join in after this. So what I'm going to do first though, I'm going to pull out the red from in there, making sure I'm threading it through the right way because I'm kind of going a bit upside down now for you lot. Those, making sure I'm not pulling any of the loops out. Perfect. Cool. Right, it's looped over. Okay, make that loop big. Pop your hook all the way through. Come on. Yeah, it's not, this is not taxing. This is not wizardry. It's just a little bit of patience, I promise. I can promise you it is really not. I know. I've shared this on an Instagram reel and everyone's saying, oh my goodness, this is sorcery, this is magic, like this is amazing. How? It's just all the crochet techniques you already know. Like, you already know how to do all this. It's just putting it in a different format, if that makes any sense. Probably not. Right, I think I need to join in soon. I might be able to get away with doing, will I get 3 trebles out of that? No, I won't. So I'm actually going to join another piece in here. So I'm just going to get another long bit of yarn. How much do I need? Probably about the same again. Right, and I'm going to actually knot it on at this point because otherwise I'm going to have too short a bit to weave in and then it will be loose and baggy, and nobody wants loose and baggy. So I'm just going to knot it on after this bit because actually the loops will go over it to hide it, as you would regularly with any joining in. Right, okay, I'm going to pop my hook in that knot though, so I can use it as my first slip stitch, because I am epitome lazy. I'm literally going to tie that on to my crochet hook so I can use that as my first loop for my trebles. So I'm going to have to pause you a minute and rotate the blanket. Okay, a little bit of a rotate done. Right, I'm just going to thread up my yarn. I'm going to give it a good pull so it's easy for me to get through. Right, and now just flipping everything over, getting these ends out of the way. These look a bit manic, don't they? Right, I'll hide those in a minute so it's a bit easier for you to see what I'm doing. Stuff them under there a minute. I of course will weave these in, but just for so you guys can see what I'm doing a bit easier, I'm just going to tuck them out of the way. So I'm now going to do the second round of trebles going into this space here. One, two, three. And it's just a bit more of rinse repeat really, so we're just going to pop through, popping through here, making sure I've got 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little loops. Perfect. Pulling the yarn all the way through. I'm just again holding those stitches, because otherwise you end up doing this and you're dragging it all, and it's just much easier. Oh, see, like if you don't leave your hook in there, this is what happens. You end up frogging it from the other side. This is an easy fix, however. You can just pull some yarn through, do a treble. So you could actually, in theory, put your yarn through the whole way and then chain it, and then treble it, sorry. I just find that I like to approach each bit at a time, because I'm never sure what's going to need what when I get there. So I much rather kind of doing that. Right, I'm going to pop. I rather do it like this piecemeal way, where I do a thread and I pull through, rather than pulling it all the whole way through, which of course you could do to start off with. Yeah, it might be a method I use in the future, but right now I like doing it this way. I like doing it little bit by little bit. I think if I had one that was, the trebles were very damaged, but do you know what I mean? If I had some damaged trebles in each one of the third round, then maybe I would do it that way, where I'd hold all those stitches open first. Come on. Right, I'm gonna pull that loop right through. There we go. There it is. Again, also don't like proper cinch this tight, because you want the trebles to sit nice. It's just to neaten it. That's why I pinch before I pull, because it just gives me some nice spacing. Right, and I'm on the last corner, so all we're going to do again is those 3 trebles to build out the corner section. It is really helpful to have, you know, a finished fixed square next to you, so you can kind of see what you need to do next. That is helpful sometimes when you're first getting your head around it all, because it can feel a bit overwhelming and a bit daunting of, oh god, where am I in the pattern, especially when you're approaching it in a way that you're not used to approaching it in. So I'm just gonna pick each one of these off that ready on there, and because this is the corner, we're doing 2 sets of 6 little loops, of course only 3 trebles. Pop it through. Right, and then we're gonna loopy loop that. Collect your working loop from the other side. That's the plan anyway. Perfect. Grab, switch hands, because I just much better with my right, because that's my crocheting hand. Right, make sure I've got that. corner. Right, so we're just doing the last corner bit of our second round. Three trebles into there. Now you can, at this section, you could just feed through those 3 trebles and tie it off. However, you'd only have one like strength worth of yarn. If you're fine with that, crack on and do that. I'm going to actually pull it through just so because this is going to somebody else, I want to make sure that it's super done. Do you know what I mean? Like fully as fixed as I could possibly fix it. So again, same again, we're just going to sling the hook through to grab your working loop. Oh, that's gone through quite nicely. Sometimes you'll honestly be sat like cussing because it takes so long to get it through, like I am now. Come on. These first trebles as well, as you go round, are generally a bit tighter because they're the ones that had to jump the gap when you've crocheted through. It's not always going to be a clean pull through. There we go, that's better. Right, and then all you do at this point is we're just going to slip stitch into the top of your initial chain 3 as you would normally. Secure yourself off, fasten off, and then you'll weave your ends in as usual. As you can see, I've got another one to mend there. So do a little bit of, you might have to do a little bit of rejigging, but there we go, all fixed and mended. I hope that was helpful, guys.